Alright, welcome back to Game 10 of Lucid's 2022 tournament, where we are playing Phlegra. It is turn 65. And we have a whole host of battles this turn, getting attacked by Atlantis more than I would have liked, making a few attacks of our own. Always, of course, trying to increase the temperature in Raga, also trying to spy on what is in Raga. We're also catching some battles between Marignon and Michelin, which definitely is relevant. Yeah, some small raiding groups here, just some mundane troops, including some sacreds. Kind of an odd group, really, because there's nobody here to bless them. But, you know, not a lot of province defense here. This will work out. But meanwhile, Michelin is also attacking Marignon. This is not a raid, not a doom stack per se. It does look like it's a fortification. Looks like there's just a single plague doctor here, in addition to being able to cure disease and being disease resistant. They generate disease, as well as being stealthy. So it looks like, you know, maybe Marignon is trying to soften up a fortification. There's quite a bit of stuff here. We have an unkitted archdevil, mostly unkitted, probably cap only mage. And I believe these guys are summons for Michelin, though. Don't quote me on that. Also unkitted. So not a lot of kit investment from Michelin. Despite those being like some fairly expensive commanders, I would think. And then, yeah, we have a squad here going underwater. Not sure if this was broken off from that giant army or if this is inside the fortification. I don't think there was that much in terms of mages inside the fortification. So I do think that came from elsewhere. We, of course, just left our token long dead because, you know, we didn't want to risk fighting against that major army. This is our crossbow squad moving out. No PD investment, really. In fact, these might just be retreats. Not sure where the leadership is coming from. I guess, yeah, there must have been like just a little bit of province defense investment. This does trigger gem usage, which, yeah, I don't know. Sure, I guess. But anyway, we will win this. So kind of sad that we ended up using gems against that, but, you know, it is what it is. And then this is, speaking of gem usage, will not be surprising. Oh, I forgot to talk about this raid. Here we're just making some fire elementals. There's no province defense here. So we've talked about how, I mean, this is still like a stripped down raiding group, but we're still using gems. Unfortunately, just really struggling in terms of money to actually put troops together. We've talked about it. Some danger there, actually. Yeah, okay, so it works out for us. Anytime there's ranged units, that can be a bit of a problem. I think those guys had Iron Skin scripted first, so, you know, low danger, but still definitely possible. Yeah, one of these raiding groups from Atlantis that we've seen before. Probably no gem usage here. Yeah, Skelly spam, like some good troops. They've also got like Frozen Heart here. Good stuff. This is against one of our provinces that, you know, had some fairly high level of PD investment. So this is deeper into our territory in the direction of the throne. So it looks like they're not moving forward with their main doom stack and just splitting elements of it out, which is good. I like that. I mean, you know, the standard thing. It's good play. Unfortunately, it's directed against us, so we don't like that aspect. And then this is where our army went. Please don't use gems, guys. That would be sad. Okay, it looks like, yeah, there's enough stuff here that we don't end up using gems. So we shouldn't really have too much in the way of losses, other than some friendly fire, of course. So we do at least block that raid. But, of course, yeah, we burn out the communion. Like, that's just a guarantee. It's fine. We have lots of shackled mages in all of our forts. And, like, most of this army doesn't really rely on the communion. Losing some of the Mouflon is a bit sad. But we do at least hold on to the province and get rid of that raiding group. And then this is... I don't know what this is. Oh, yeah, okay. This is our gem fellows. And, yeah, you know, no investment here. So we probably should go lighter. No, we should definitely go lighter in terms of, is this not even generating, oh, okay, yeah, no, they are gonna use their gems. So yeah, that's a lot of gem usage for 1 PD, but we do at least, you know, take the province. Like I said, Phlegra's somewhat eluded me in terms of exactly, you know, how to utilize this nation. So it looks like the Doom stack is moving forward, just 1 province defense. I'm not actually sure what province this is. They may have backtracked, actually, trailing our tyrants, which would be kind of interesting. Not at all what I was expecting, though they do still have the option. Actually, let's double check, because they can go through the water, and they are close to, yeah, there's no crossbowmen in this, although the Green Lions Yeah, I mean, the green lions are cool. You know, people really like these. I have not used them enough. They're hard to mass, right? So I haven't seen them enough and haven't used them enough myself to know whether or not they deserve, you know, their somewhat fearsome reputation. But it is kind of sad for Atlantis to like lose that underwater mobility. It's like, is it like these green lions? Is it really worth it? Because like now we can, I mean, they can always ditch the green lions, right? But like probably they won't. So that means that they're not going to go underwater. So, you know, it closes out some movement options for them. Because otherwise I'd be a bit concerned. Like this is only, I think, 2 moves if you can go underwater from our throne fortification, whereas like, you know, now like they have to march significantly longer, so it's going to give us time to, you know, put something together. Anyway, still very worried about that army, and that does move them closer to Utgard. And then let's see, this is some vampire raiding I missed. I'm assuming this is Miklin. Yeah, Miklin attacking Marignon, it looks like, and this should work out just fine. Vampires being perhaps the peak way of raiding in vanilla dominions. So, you know, that's, I mean, Miklin's a big blood power. It's like turn 64, 65. Yeah, here's another vampire. Running into more, wait a minute. Okay, this is an Atlantean vampire, which makes sense. We didn't manage to soul slay that other vampire, so this is probably the same guy. No afflictions, so could be a new guy. We may have not given him affliction. This looks like one of our fortifications. Vampires are pretty fast, and then this probably will work out for them. Though we do have a decent amount of province defense, but like, yeah, short bows, soul vortex, like vampires have invulnerability. Yeah, our guys are screwed. Not sure which fort of that of ours that is. But we should be able to beat vampires, even if we can't kill them permanently. Sadly, we can't teleport on him for Soul Slay, and then we get attacked in Raga. So let's see, is this the big battle, or is this the gem burning? Looks like gem burning. Oh no, just Wind of Death. So let's see if they're going to be able to get it off. It's a good chance they get it off before... Yeah, we did manage to get anti-magic up pretty quickly, but you can see, like, yeah, wow. There isn't even any penetration gear on this guy. So again, like, you know, just another reason that, like, relying on our mundane troops at this point in the game is, you know, not that useful. So, yeah, and then he retreats off. This burns gems anyway, so an extremely effective attack. But, you know, again, like we don't have a ton of options. Yeah, so we lose a lot of units, which is really more relevant in some ways for like the siege strength. We're probably going to have to pull this army out. I don't know, we'll see. Have to think about it, but, you know, they're just going to continue to repeat that attack, and there's really not a whole lot we can do about it. This, again, just sort of feeding into, like, I just don't think Phlegra is going to do well in the late game. So that's why, you know, kind of the plan was, well, we'll have an expander and we'll, you know, get big fast and hopefully win quickly. Obviously, you know, that did not come to pass. We did manage to take control of some province where there's no defense, scorching wildfires, and then, you know, blizzards. So like I said, you know, Raga going to be losing like about 2k population every turn. So we'll see, you know, maybe this army is just going to take a ugly turn. We'll do some strategic spells against Atlantis. Atlantis also decreasing the temperature in an adjacent province. Not really sure about that. It was already pretty cold, but maybe thinking that we would withdraw. We'll have to see if they like moved some forces in there. Barbarian Horde, of course. There's a brigand leader, but he's in a worthless province, so that's fine. We'll just let him do his thing there. And then there's a hurricane. Vinemen devouring one of our provinces and going to be attacking Fairy Court. This is the Atlantean province that we just raided, so that's unfortunate, but, you know, these guys, like, we weren't really expecting them to live long term, so not the end of the world. We do lose a province to some barbarians, so that is sad. Then we are under siege by a vampire, so that's annoying, but not the end of the world. We can't even afford to recruit mages out of all of our fortifications anyway. So in that sense, not such a big deal. And then, you know, we are still sitting on top of Raga. We do have more Yetis here now, moderately damaged. More time, more Winds of Death are required to break them down. And I'll catch you guys after the cut. All right, this is the situation and what we're doing about it. I think the main thing that we're doing is we're abandoning any hope of taking Raga. So I know I said that I wanted to go out in a blaze of glory rather than like a grinding war of attrition. But what I'm not interested in is just getting repeatedly Wind of Death. And I just don't see any reason that Atlantis would come out until, almost everything of our army is gone. There's no way we're going to be able to crack this fortification with this much stuff in here, and the fact that we're going to be losing siege strength every turn. Our Yetis are going to hold up okay against the Wind of Deaths, but we don't have the strength to take Raga. But that doesn't mean that we're giving up, right? We can still make this painful for Atlantis. Although, like I said, it's definitely looking like Utgard and Atlantis are not fighting. And now it's kind of looking like Ulm and Atlantis are not fighting. So we might actually be in a 1v1. And while I don't think we can win a 1v1, I do think that we can make this pretty painful for Atlantis. Like, this isn't going to be an easy win for them. Or at least that's my hope and intent. And of course, we've seen how like the diplomatic situation can shift really quickly. So, again, I've talked before, like, I don't think we're going to win this one, but you never know. Certainly things could look a lot better in a few turns, right? They look a lot worse right now as they did, compared to a few turns ago. So yeah, things change fast. So we're going to take the majority of our useful stuff and, retreat towards our fortifications and really just towards our heat dominion, although being able to hide inside one of our forts and then having Atlantis siege us down means that they won't really be able to pull the Wind of Death traps. Now, we won't be able to sit in the fort and let them crack it, right? Because then they can do the same thing where they just send a Wind of Death caster into our fort for a storm every turn. But that's going to be somewhat dangerous, right? Because we will sally in that case. And so, we'll trigger any Wind of Deaths against both armies, which is not going to be good for us. But Atlantis, is not going to love a Wind of Death themselves, right? It's not like they're casting that. If we take a look again, right, it's just the caster, maybe a few friends, just the caster, right? So there's a reason that Atlantis is not bringing their army into play when they're casting Wind of Death. So we can kind of reverse the situation if Atlantis is sitting on top of one of our forts. I mean, obviously this means that, right, you don't win the war by having your own forts sieged. But at this point, especially considering what we've lost and what we're up against, we're going to have to play defense here to even have a hope of inflicting any damage. However, we can take advantage of our position, so we're taking a bunch of our more marginal stuff. Okay, not all of our marginal stuff. Yeah, we are splitting out a Tyrant, which is a little dicey, but we just didn't quite have we really don't have a lot of mundane troops left, and I wanted to bring the crossbowmen home because those will still be useful in an engagement. So we're going to use the Mouflon and archers, sending a diseased and dying mage out here to assist. I think this one, yeah, same kind of stuff, no mage. So, those raiding groups are going to peter out pretty quickly, but we might be able to combine into this province and generally, make life a little more difficult for Atlantis. We're going to continue, that this raiding group just kind of moving around. It kind of looks like this army is chasing us, which is fine by me, although there's a decent chance, if that's true, that, this group is going to get sandwiched between this army and this army, because obviously, the army in Raga will break out. Hopefully, we left one bowman behind, who's probably going to eat a Wind of Death. But yeah, there's a decent chance that, this group gets caught in between these two, and they'll probably die at that point. But it is what it is. If that is the case and Atlantis wants to use 2 of their stacks to chase down 2 of our Tyrants, that's kind of almost worth it, right? We really could use a few more turns to make good our losses. And of course, that assumes that that's actually what this army is doing. Although it does, it doesn't really look like they're going for our capital, like I thought they were maybe doing. Obviously, doesn't look like they're going for this fort. They could still go, they could obviously they can go wherever they want, but they haven't moved too much farther away from our throne fortification over here. So, possibly they're still planning on heading that direction, right? Maybe just cleaning this little peninsula out along the way. So we'll see to that end, right? We are moving this army over more or less, just kind of matching this, and, also probably should combine the force that's here with this force. We've talked about how we were split. Of course, we do have a vampire in here sieging this. I think, we're going to break siege with some Soul Slay, probably an air elemental maybe, or wind guide. I don't know, a variety of things. Mostly relying on Soul Slay. I think we're moving out, a little Fire Communion, Incinerate. Vampires don't love fire. Not sure this is going to have the range to get the vampires, so decent chance that this fails, although I'm not sure how interested Atlantis is going to be in raiding, some disconnected swamp. We're also patrolling in a variety of our forts, to try to catch raiders. We're sending out, I think this is a Cyclops. Yeah, we're sending out Cyclops. Pretty good chance this guy gets mind hunted, but, honestly, like these Cyclopses, not really that useful. I don't know. They do have a lot of hit points. Maybe it'd be worthwhile waiting, but right now we don't really actually have any Astral Mages other than the ones, that we've deployed in the army that are available. Actually, maybe our guy from the capital could make it there, but we're hoping to catch some vampire or a vampire with him. Not to mention, I'm not even sure. We might have a Shade Mail. We do not, right? So, we can't really afford to give this guy cover against Mind Hunt. So, it is what it is. I think that covers the majority of it, kind of going into, raid mode now that it looks like Atlantis isn't interested in fighting a battle until they've whittled us down a bunch, which makes sense. Nothing wrong with that. Kind of giving up the offensive right now. Also of note, we were going to go underwater, but this guy decided, Festival for the Dead, which, makes sense. We do have a lot of casualties this turn. So once he's finished with his insanity, then we will go underwater and then jump on top of this fort and, maybe give something else for this Stack and Raga to do, maybe force a split. It's always a good thing to be sitting on your opponent's forts. Doing a little bit of forging because we do have a Tyrant coming out, but nothing particularly interesting, more or less the same gear we've been forging. Not a lot of recruitment going on. I do think, we are getting, some foreign mage recruitment, but otherwise, fairly limited. Some mages, because this is, the off turn, but you can see, not full recruitment. And then troop recruitment-wise, just crossbowmen, I think, up here, and probably actually just infantry here, because, we do still want some bodyguards for the mages. Research-wise, I actually think we will hit... Evocation 8 this turn, which is pretty nice. That gives us Pillar of Fire. We have a lot of fire magic, so it's probably something I should have picked up sooner. I don't think it'll be game-changing, but it is going to make our forts a lot more painful to take. I think that more or less covers turn 65.